Ooh, look, it's a ghost. I didn't buy a Halloween costume this year because, what would I do with it? Just sit at home and drink alone? I mean, I guess that's not much different than most other Halloweens. Ooh, how's it going, everybody? It's me, the guy who, I make some videos sometimes when I can. I know things have been a little crazy lately and I haven't been able to upload videos, and also the world's been on fire! So I just kind of wanted to make a short little Halloween video for you guys. Fright Night, or as Jay Giles' band said it, Fright Night! The 80s were a wonderful time, weren't they? I mean, I wouldn't know. I wasn't born yet. It was in that period where I was dead. Ooh. I'm actually gonna keep wearing this because it's kind of cold in this room, so this helps. And this blue light I'm pointing at myself for spooky atmosphere isn't helping. Do you like this big shadow on the wall? I was hoping that wouldn't be there, but maybe it adds atmosphere. Like I'm telling you, like a little campfire story around a blue flame. That's probably not normal. Don't stand near that. That might be that's about to explode. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about these 4 movies because I really enjoy them. Or well, I really enjoy 3 of them. And one of them probably didn't need to exist, but I'll get more into that later. Fright Night, the 1985 film written and directed by Tom Holland. Don't fucking lie to me! Who also made the first Child's Play movie. So yeah, he's got some spooky street cred. Plain and simple, this is just a really fun vampire movie. It's got great spooky atmosphere, and it's the perfect thing to put on around Halloween time. It's kind of a callback to an older sense of horror, like a Universal Monsters type thing, but it's like brought into the 80s style really well, I think. You've got some great performances from Roddy McDowall, Amanda Bearse, Amanda Bearse.
Amanda Bearse.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. Bears.
That is how you pronounce it.
That is how you pronounce it.
Chris Sarandon and William Ragsdale. There's a lot of great practical effects, and it's a great example of what I call a no one believes me type story. You've all seen something like this. There's a spooky thing, and somebody has to go and tell people what it is, but it's so outlandish that nobody could possibly believe it. But then, little do they know that that thing's real, and it's coming for them, and that disbelief is going to be what kills them in the end. You know the type of story. There's been a million type of horror movies like this, but I think this is a really good example of one. It's got a great sense of fun, too. It is a horror comedy, and I do think there's plenty of funny moments. Like this moment where Amanda Bearse is not in the same position between different cuts. I noticed that, and now you have to notice it every time you watch this movie too. So there you go, I ruined something. Everybody sells the comedy really well, and I think it's a very strong element of the movie that makes it stand out against, similar movies of the style. It's very self-aware, but I wouldn't necessarily call it meta. It definitely revels in that sense of horror movie atmosphere that we're all familiar with, and plays with tropes and cliches, but it does it in a playful way. I don't want to say too much for people who haven't seen it, and I don't want to beat it into the ground for people who have. So yeah, I really recommend this one. Go out and check it out. You can rent it on things or watch it places. I only have it on DVD because it's kind of hard to get it on Blu-ray. Like you can get it, but it's still it's like pricey last time I checked. I don't know what's up with that, but it's not quite as pricey or as hard to find as the next movie I'm going to talk about. So let's talk about that. Fright Night! That 2 doesn't have a theme song. It does, but I don't remember what it is because it's not as cheesy and dumb. Cool. Yes, it's time to talk about 1988's Fright Night Part 2. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, and he also wrote it, and 2 other people wrote it, whose names I don't remember off the top of my head, so they're going to be on the screen right now. And yeah, this movie is a lot more obscure. There's actually some reasons for that, which I don't want to get too into because I don't remember all the details specifically off the top of my head. Basically, when they were making this movie, like everything was set to go, they were set to all roll it out and everything, and then like somebody at the production company, or like the head of the production company or the distribution company or something like that, they got murdered by their sons. Yeah. Halloween! Spooky! That's disrespectful. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's kind of a tragic story, unfortunately, and I'm sure it affected more movies than this one. That's very sad and unfortunate that happened. And like I said, it kind of hampered this movie. It didn't really get released to a lot of theaters, and largely it kind of got dumped on video. And that's a shame because, honestly, it's pretty good. Like, when I was younger, I was kind of down on it, and I think that was just because I was a very stupid child. I recently rewatched this, and yeah, this is a really good movie. I do think it amps up the vampire like action in a way. In many parts, it's got similar beats to the original. Like, it's got like sort of a manservant character who isn't quite a vampire, but he's not, you don't really know what he is. He's some kind of otherworldly being, and it's got a really gnarly death scene with that guy. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll just show you a brief clip of this. Yeah, look at that. Don't you want to know why that happened? I do too, because it's not really explained in the movie, but it is a cool effect. And largely interesting for a sequel. I think this movie is less about Charlie, the character William Ragsdale plays, because he's kind of like under a spell for most of the movie. I'll get into a little bit about the plot of the movie. So in the original movie, there's the vampire Jerry Dandridge, and spoilers, if in case you couldn't figure this out, they defeat him at the end of the first movie, and a new vampire shows up in this movie, and she immediately corners Peter Vincent, the character Roddy McDowall plays in the movie. She immediately just corners him in a stairwell and says this.
Jerry Dandridge was 1,000 years old when you spilled his blood. He was my brother.
Oh, shit! Yeah, so no mystery there. Just right off the bat, I'm Jerry Dandridge's sister, and I'm here to kill you, but I won't right now. I'll just kind of disappear and toy with you for a while. So I do think, in a way, sort of the retreading of certain beats and, you know, bringing, like, a new character and being like, oh, I'm the sibling of the person you killed. I do think that's a little weak, and I can see why maybe some people couldn't get into it because of that. Honestly, I do think there's a lot of cool stuff in here. There's some cool effects. There's some cheap-looking effects, like, you know, there's some vampire forms in here that don't really work, but there's some, like, cool, like, wolf-like forms. I don't think it really has anything on, say, that one scene with Evil Ed in the original movie where he's transforming back after being wounded. But, you know, there are some really cool effects in here, and there's some really great comedy. And I do think the new characters really work with the existing characters in the movie. I think when I was younger, I was kind of put off by the fact that Amanda Bearse wasn't in the sequel, but I do think the actress that replaces her, not, you know, playing a different character, not playing the same character, I do think she does a really great job, and I think she carries a lot of the movie, because in many ways, she's a lot more the main character than Charlie is at times. I don't know her name off the top of my head, so I'm gonna put that on the screen. Yeah, but I think she does a really great job in the movie, and What? What? Wait, what? Were you not recording? Hey, the camera stopped recording at some point. I don't know exactly when that happened, so I'll probably put in a lot of text or video clips at that point. So, yay! Technology. I'm having a real bad day with technology. I was about ready to throw my computer out the window earlier, exporting an episode of the podcast. I'm not gonna get off on a huge tangent about this, because I don't have a lot of time, because I gotta drive somewhere later, because I gotta go to a wedding soon. I gotta fly out for that, and I'm super paranoid about traveling because the world is on fire, and the disease is, you know, skyrocketing in places, and Halloween, fun time of the year, we're all having so much fun! But yeah, anyway, I think she does a really great job. I think her character is really fun, and I do think she brings a lot of great energy to this movie. And I think Roddy McDowall is really great in this too. I mean, he was great in the first movie, but I just gotta point out this one moment. I just gotta isolate this moment where Roddy McDowall sees William Ragsdale, Peter Vincent sees Charlie for the first time in forever. He hasn't seen him in a while because he's been kind of ghosting and whatever. And he sees him for the first time forever, and this is his reaction.
Charlie?
How could you not love that? That's just so wholesome. Something about the way he just says, Charlie. I love that. That's, it's great. How did people not like this movie when it came out? I guess people didn't really see this movie when it came out. I do think the vampire that replaces Jerry isn't quite as captivating as him, mainly because she's a lot more of the silent type. She uses a lot of, like, eye and face acting and doesn't really talk as much until, like, towards the end. And I do think that weakens her a bit, but overall I do think she's a very fun antagonist towards the end. She's got a lot of, like, fun villain energy, and I do think that's really cool. I do have to mention, I didn't mention this talking about the first movie, so I'm going to talk about it here. In recent years, the original movie has been talked about and discussed a lot as a very queer-coded movie, and I do think there's a lot of merit to that. A lot of the cast is LGBT. As a matter of fact, I didn't know Roddy McDowell and Amanda
Bearse
were LGBT until fairly recently, but I did actually know that the actor for Evil Ed, Stephen Jeffries, that's his name. Sorry, I get excited when I remember something because it's like, oh, I'm not quite sinking into dementia quite yet. But yeah, I actually knew Stephen Jeffries was LGBT for quite a while because I was just like looking up the movie one day and it like led me to his page just to see if like I think I was looking up if he reappeared in Fright Night 2, which he does not, and that's unfortunate because it's kind of set up at the end of the first Fright Night that he does, but whatever. But yeah, and I went on his page and it turns out he did a lot of gay porn. Gotta do what you gotta do. He seems like he's having fun, living his life. And I do think it's very easy to read that first movie as very queer-coded. There's lots of little, like, hints and lines.
Did you finally find out what you really like? Buzz off, evil.
Some of them seem like they might have been pretty intentional. But yeah, there's a lot of that in there, and I think it's very clear to see. And I don't know if the sequel has as much of that, especially because a lot of it is just Charlie sort of being seduced by a female vampire. So I do think that maybe the movie is not as, culturally important. I do think there's reasons that, like, even though both have sort of become cult classics, I do think there's one reason Fright Night overall is much more highly revered is because on top of, just being a fun horror movie, it does have sort of other elements you could read into it. On the whole, I do think Fright Night Part 2 is a very worthy follow-up. I honestly think that Tommy Lee Wallace kind of got the shit end of the deal in a lot of cases because, he made this. It's not as loved as the first movie, and I'm sure some people probably don't like it at all, but, it's a pretty solid horror movie. And same with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. He made that. A lot of people don't like that, but honestly, if you watch it completely divorced from the Halloween movies, which is what it was supposed to be, that's a really fun, kooky horror movie. And he also made the TV movie of It.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
That one's just bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to... I might actually do a video on Tommy Lee Wallace in the future. I kind of want to watch more of his movies. Fright Night 2 gets a really bad rap. And I'd say you should go out and buy it and watch it and, support it. Like, show people that, like, oh, some people actually like this movie. Fun little story again, because of the release situation, if you want to buy this movie on DVD, it's like $100. Yeah, they didn't make a lot of them, or it just went out of print very quickly, so yeah, if you want to watch it, you could do that. Or you could buy a Blu-ray, which is more, average price for a Blu-ray, but it's from another country. I was only briefly paying attention, so I don't remember where it's imported from, but here it is. You could get that if you want. But if you want to watch the movie, well, you're in luck because it's on YouTube in its entirety for free. That's why, honestly, I can put as long of a clip as I want in this video because I'm guessing it's not going to get content ID'd, or maybe the person who uploaded that just doesn't care. I don't know. Yeah, normally I don't like to drive people to that resource because, I do like to drive people to view things in legal and paid channels if I can, because this is the industry I work in and I like to drive support that way, but it does appear to be the easiest way to watch this movie. So yeah, if you're interested, go check it out. It's decent quality. Shh, here's a little secret. I've been making a Blu-ray of Fright Night Part 2. I got a high-res file, and I've been building the Blu-ray disc. I already got it compiled. I just need to burn it to the disc and print out the slips and everything, because I'm a crazy person. What's wrong with me? Now we're gonna talk about a movie that I don't think is as widely loved as either of those previous two movies. I've heard some people really like it and some people don't. I personally kind of love it. I'm going to be talking about 2011's Fright Night. Now, this movie is actually what got me into, Fright Night and stuff, because I had never seen Fright Night. I just heard that they were remaking Fright Night, and I've always really liked vampires, so when I heard, oh, they're remaking a vampire movie, I decided to check out the original. And then, however much later down the line, the movie came out, and I went to see it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I do think it focuses more on the comedy aspect. I don't think the horror elements are that prevalent or the strongest element of it. I remember when I saw it with my friend Chris, who is not a fan of horror movies, but if I recall, he really enjoyed that one, and it didn't really bother him. So I don't think the horror elements are the most prevalent thing there. There's a lot of great music in it. I think the soundtrack to the movie is great, unlike the other movies where they have, a few good songs and really good scores. I didn't talk about that in the last one. Oh yeah, fuck. Both the previous movies have really great scores. They're both done by the same guy. This guy, those are really good pieces of music. If I can ever find them on record, I'm definitely gonna do that. They're really fucking good. The score for this movie, I don't know, it's probably good. I honestly don't remember it. I rewatched the movie recently and nothing really sticks out. But the soundtrack choices are, they're so good. I love them. I love the song that plays at the end credits. It's a great, little take on 99 Problems. Again, I think the highlight of the movie is the performances. Anton Yelchin is great in the movie. He was great in everything. He's gone way too soon. I get so upset when I watch movies with him now, because it's always just you're such a talented actor. He's really good in it. Imogen Poots is great in it. Toni Collette, fantastic as always. And Colin Farrell, I think, makes a really good Jerry. I've heard complaints that he's a bit too menacing from the start. Not really a guy you would ever really invite in. And I do think that's a valid complaint. I do think that initial menace really pays off once he has to actually start being menacing. And I do think this movie is afforded a certain luxury because it, comes out in modern times where we could do crazy things with VFX and big budgets. So, there's certain action set pieces in this movie that aren't really in the original, and I could see how that sort of detracts from the horror a little bit, but honestly, I think it all really contributes to a great final product. This is a really fun movie as well. When it comes to horror movies, I like to break them down into two different camps. I think there's what I would like to call summer horror movies, and then Halloween type horror movies. There's certain horror movies that I can't really explain why, but you would generally watch in the summer. It's not that they're not scary or anything like that, but that's just the time of year that you would typically observe those. And then there's other types of movies that you would watch around, the spooky season. I think this Fright Night, unlike the other two Fright Nights, is something you would watch, around the summer. And maybe that's because they changed the setting up to Las Vegas instead of the original wherever the original movie said. I don't know if it's ever really said. And so it sort of has a different energy than the other movies, and I think that's a good call. I think if you're gonna remake something, you should definitely do a different take on it. And it actually provides a little bit of character building for the villain character of Jerry, because the whole setup is that he can move to some place near the Las Vegas Strip, and sort of no one will bat an eye that he blocks up his windows because people work on the Strip at night and sleep during the daytime. I think that's a really interesting touch. You could tell there's great little moments like that in the script that shows that people were actually passionate about this. They weren't just going to rehash the original thing. This was sort of in the same spirit of that. I think that's a great touch. If I'm going to talk about things I'm not wild about, there are some shots in the movie that are a little too cheesy for its own good. Help me! Yeah, you could tell this came out when 3D was having its resurgence. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see this in 3D, so I remember in the theater I still thought this was pretty weird. I'm rewatching it now. Yeah, it's still pretty weird. You can tell this movie was probably most of the way into production when they were make it a 3D movie, go on. And I'll also say, though the performances are pretty good across the board, Christopher Mintz-Plasse's character is on screen for too long. Yeah, I know the whole conceit of the Evil Egg characters that he's kind of annoying. Stephen Jeffries in the original movie is definitely very annoying. I think that's part of the thing, and I don't think that's a knock on him. I think that's clearly very, very intentional. I don't think anybody acts like that normally. But yeah, so I get that the Evil Egg character is supposed to be annoying, but he just talks a little bit too much, and that scene where they're disposing of him goes on a bit too long. That's one of the moments that feels more like an obligation than anything else. And yeah, they don't do anything anything as cool as the original movie. Like, he doesn't turn into a wolf or anything like that. And, you know, they're doing their own thing. They're, you know, trying to be a little less cheesy, but, you know, some of the other elements of the movie kind of conflict with that. So I guess you could say maybe the tone's not as even. On the whole, I think it's a super fun movie, just like the other ones. I think that's the through line with all of these, is they're just incredibly fun to watch. I just want to point out this one line that I love so much from the remake.
Oh no, that's fucked up vampire head. Now do you believe me?
It's just great. Like, just the frustration of, like, do you see? It's great. These movies are so fun. Or at least most of them are. Because now I gotta talk about Fright Night 2. New Blood. Yeah, so, I'm not gonna talk too much about this one here. Just a little insight to maybe the next video I'm making, or, you know, maybe the next bad movie touch, if I don't want to be too transparent or anything. Maybe it's some say I'm bad at giving hints. Fright Night 2 New Blood came out after Fright Night 2011, so you would think naturally that it's a sequel to that, but no, it's not. As far as I can tell, I don't think it has anything to do with that movie, honestly. What it does have quite a lot to do with is the original 1985 Fright Night. Yeah, that's right. Despite being called Fright Night 2, it has nothing to do with the previous movie. It's another remake of the original Fright Night. There's some changes. It's not like a, you know, My Neighbor's a Vampire story now. Now it's My Professor's a Vampire. And, you know, they do a gender swap on Jerry Dandridge. Still named Jerry Dandridge, which, you know, whatever. But, like, it's... why? Like, we already had a remake, and it was so much better than anybody could have expected, regardless of if you like it or not. It's still better than, like, most remakes, like most cash grab remakes of classic horror movies like that. But then they make this. For some reason. Money? Why? I mean, it was released straight to video, like maybe like straight to Walmart, I think I was looking up. That's probably not true, but it was at least released straight to video. So, like, how much money were they honestly getting off this? The established loved IP of Fright Night, you know, that movie where there's one really loved cult movie, there's one that got a bungled release because of a horrible tragedy, and then there's one that people like sort of 50-50 on, at least last I checked. Yeah, it's not very good. And I'll definitely be talking about it more in a future Bad Movie Touch episode. As a matter of fact, it's going to be the next one. Ideally, I would have liked to have had that out before Halloween, but yeah, that's not going to happen because, you know, I don't want to rush it. I want to make it really good, but it's okay because, you know, this whole year's a nightmare, so we could revel in horror all year round. It doesn't matter, and depending on the events of, you know, the next couple of days, things might be horrible for a very long time. Fun! So, like I said, this is just sort of a short little video to talk about these movies that I really enjoy and really love. Like, as you can see, this is my old-ass laptop. I think this is probably, like, from 2009 or something. No, that wouldn't make sense, because that came out in 2009. Okay, so it's probably somewhere around there. But, yeah, I loved Fright Night so much, I put, like, I made this decal and put it on there, and it's still on there to this day, and I've been super paranoid that that's actually gonna fall and get damaged forever. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks so much for watching this, guys. Yeah, I want to do something in the spirit of Halloween, get a video out before the spooky season, and we'll see if I succeeded, and you'll know if I succeeded by when this came out. This was a lot of fun. It was great to talk about these movies that I really enjoy. You should go check those out if any of these sounded interesting to you, except maybe the last one, or check it out if you want. I don't want to whatever, if you want to check it out. I'm going to be talking about it soon enough. Did you like watching me talk about them? Well, great. Then leave a like on this video down below. Comment down below if there's something you'd like to let me know. Maybe you've seen these movies and want to talk about them. I always love talking about horror movies and just any kind of movies, really. So, yeah, do that down below. If there's something you'd like me to talk about, maybe leave a suggestion for a future Bad Movie Touch. Still working on some request episodes, and I think those are going to come out really nice, so stay tuned for those. As you can see, recovering from my surgery nicely. I even trimmed my beard. Yeah, you can see this was not like this before. Yeah, I can talk a little bit clearer now. I still can't feel my lips, so I probably sound a little bit weird, and I'll probably sound a little bit different in future videos, but yeah, I'm glad that that's done. If you like my stuff and want to see more, subscribe to me, ring that bell if it does anything, if it's even still there. Do whatever you want. I just enjoy making content, and if you enjoy it too, then stick around, because I'll be making more, and I love hearing from wonderful people like yourself. Enjoy Halloween, guys. I know it's kind of hard to enjoy certain things, leisure and fun at the moment, but yeah, I hope you have a wonderful Halloween, and I will see you in the next video, and for the love of God, vote.